Welcome back to another episode of Legacy Builders Unleashed. And this episode is live because it needs to happen right now to help as many people as possible grow in their business, win more work, and be authentically themselves without all the rigmarole of trying to figure out systems and scripts and all that stuff. I'm here with one of my friends, Jana Niksa, who is the authentic sales coach and the conversion queen. She has sold millions of dollars over her 20 plus year sales career. And as a top performing sales executive, and her main strategy was she never did it the way that they told her to. And now she empowers her clients to do the same. Jana helps impact driven entrepreneurs break the mold, mix the woo and the do to give up the hustle and create far more freedom in their business through helping them develop high converting, high ticket offers, overcome their sales fears, and get more high ticket clients. Thank you for being here, Jana.
Thank you for having me, Melinda. I'm so excited to talk with you.
We were talking just a minute ago about basically having an elevator pitch in there is really our of elevator pitches, and really how what we believe an elevator pitch should be, instead of having a scripted message, which it used to work, right? Because we can't say it didn't work, but it just takes out the authenticity out of having a conversation with anybody.
Yes. Well, I tell my clients all the time, like, I want you to know what you do and who you serve, right? Like, it's important that we're clear, and it's important that we're clear on the results that we have. But if it feels too canned and if it feels too planned, then it feels ingenuine. Even if it's not, it just feels that way, because it's very difficult for most people to make something that they've memorized seem like it's not memorized, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. I mean, it's not difficult, right? It's just, it takes time to memorize it, but is it really authentic? I think there's there's this script dealing, that I call script dealing, where, especially when you're on the phone with somebody, and we're going to talk about that. It's like, when I'm talking to somebody on the phone, I have a script and I go by it, but my gut is like, this person needs more. They need more. They we're going to strip the surface. We're totally going to serve them. We need to, we're not going to teach. We're going to serve. Can we serve a little bit more and really just speak to them where they are? And every single individual is different. So I love your approach, and I want to learn more about it.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it really has to do with all my years of selling. They would always, every quarter, we would get the message from the marketing team. It's like, we've spent millions and tens of millions of dollars on this thing. And then we would have to practice the message. And it really never set well with me, because it didn't feel true for me. It didn't feel like the right angle, if you will. And for me, it was all about the specific client. And if we can't allow ourselves, that's why it's like the woo and the do. Sales is 95% your energy. Yeah. Right. It's like who you're being in that moment, how well you're listening, how present are you, how focused are you, how are you active listening? Are you waiting to talk? And what a script does, I'll give you a quick example. When clients come and work with me, one of the things we do, especially as a VIP client, is I will audit their sales calls.
Yes.
And I was working with this guy, and I adore him. So it has nothing to do, he's incredible at what he does and all the things, but he is a chiropractor that's also in the gut health space, or in autoimmune, really, even more specific. And so, he's talking with this mom about her problem. And at one point, her voice cracks. And if you've been on sales calls long enough, you've had these calls where people are really needing to be heard and seen. I think we all need that. And so anyway, she's like, he's like, well, tell me more about what this means to you, whatever it was. And she's like, well, I just want to be a better mom. and her voice starts to crack.
Huh.
And many moms out there were like, oh,
Yeah.
but instead he's like, so tell me, what would it mean to you if you were to change that now? And it was like, oh,
Deflated. Oh my gosh.
and that's just it. Like if you're
Yeah.
trying to sell, if you're trying to get them, if it's all about you, which is what you're making it in that moment, and reading a script and trying to get it right,
Yeah.
miss these opportunities to really be human with somebody.
Mm.
And that could have changed everything for her that moment, because I know it's hard as a mom to admit, like, I feel like I'm falling short.
Ooh,
Like it's one
yeah.
of our worst fears. And then in that moment to not like have that received,
Yeah.
it's like, and just imagining like what it could have been if it had been
Yeah.
received. Like that
Yeah.
could have, everybody thinks it comes down to the pitch,
No.
but it's all these little incremental steps and these opportunities to
Yes.
either
Yes.
show up, like you said, and serve, or get through the script
Mhm.
and get to the thing so that you can get the yes. And that's not where you want to be.
You know what's really interesting when you're talking about this is getting me excited because I think about the buyer journey, right? Like we start with awareness content, talking to the problem where there's tons of people and they're just dealing with the problem. And then they move on to consideration, like here are the ways that you can heal the pain that you have. And then the opportunity to convert is like, here is our way, which is what we believe is the best way based off the results that we've gotten. And immediately after that is activation, which is like onboarding the client, making them feel good, and then advocacy. And I feel like when you're in a big organization, a big company, those 5 steps often get siloed. And it's harder to us. Like, I feel like we have a benefit to being a small business because we get to see the entire client journey. We get to really tap into the buyer journey and infuse advocacy, infuse connection during the conversion so that we're not waiting to build relationship with them and turn them to raving fans. We're doing it right then because we actually care about them. And it's not just a quota. It's like, it's a human being, right? It's like
Yeah.
serving someone.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that, because that reminds me of kind of how I even stumbled upon this, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but um, early on in my career, I was trying to do it the way, Fortune 500 companies said. And of course, here I am, a 22-year-old with like a double major in science. Like, I'm like, well, they obviously know. I
No,
don't. I don't
right.
even have a business degree. Like, I got to go with what. And so here I am, like, trying to do it their way, feeling super uncomfortable,
Mhm.
not like myself, feeling a lot of resistance from my clients or my potential clients, out in the field. And a hurricane actually hit my territory. So I was in South Florida. That was my first job out of college. And it put a lot of my offices just either temporarily out of commission or, had to fully like relocate. It was pretty devastating.
Wow.
Some of them lost their houses and their business. So long story short, the last thing I was going to do was have an agenda.
Yeah.
And I felt like for the first time, and I wish everybody could have this opportunity, whether it's in their business or even it's career sales, I felt like, well, I don't think I have to make my quota now. Like they would be
Mm.
real jerks if they're like, we're going to fire the girl that just lost half her territory. And so it gave me this like space. And even, now I've done a lot of reflecting over this. I didn't even know this was happening at the time, but it was kind of like, why don't I just show up my way now? Like, I don't have to make anything happen. Like, thankfully, I'm more than likely unofficially off the hook. Right.
Yeah.
And, and that changed everything. Like, it
Mm.
really did. Like, if there was any turning point in my career, it was that. And that's really what I like to bring to the online space now is, years, decades of selling in this way where it was more about the human in front of me. And it was more about really truly understanding, not like, where can I get my in? Like, how can I get my way in? But like truly understanding what they needed and whether or not I was the right person to meet those needs. And, even helping them really understand their problem better, to your point.
Mm.
But nobody's going to listen to that at all if you're self-serving, if you're in your ego,
Mm.
which is what I think it is. I call it like service-based selling in your power versus forceful-based egoic selling. And
Ooh.
like the Hawkins scale, there's, above, I call it above the line, because almost every sales model you look at is below that line. It's about fear, it's about manipulation, it's about FOMO, it's about force, and that's all fear that's driving that. And so when I was able to kind of flip that, because I didn't have the pressure anymore, it didn't matter. It didn't matter from there on, like where I took wherever I took this approach, whether different territory, different states, different products, different companies, all the things that salespeople love to like blame. It didn't matter, because I had found the freedom of really doing it in a more intuitive, loving way, where I feel like it became a win-win. And if I can find the win-win, then that changes everything. It just changes the whole energy of it all.
Wow. I'm digesting that for many reasons, just thinking about improving in sales. I think especially when my business started working well, like, when I first went into business after corporate America, I was learning marketing, general marketing, like you're talking about, that big corporation marketing. And then as an entrepreneur, I was trying to model that and it wasn't working. And then I had to learn how to market as an entrepreneur, which was challenging because not many people do it well. And then I stumbled onto not being, I don't want to say prepared, because I definitely was prepared, but as like just kind of leaning into what they needed versus what I wanted to get out of them. And when I got on those calls, oh my gosh, Jana, I like, my close rate for my agency for 2 years in a row was 97% close, because it was just like, what do you need? What is painful? What would you want to like get off your shoulders? Like, and you're 100% right. Like when you lean into what they need, and I sell to corporate, which ironically, I sell back to corporate, right? And so that's still, we're talking about human beings. So it doesn't really matter who you sell to. It matters more how you serve them during the sales process. Is that what I'm like? That's how I'm resonating.
It is. And I just want to highlight, you will hear a lot of people, sales coaches like myself, say that, like, sales is service. But it's not what you say, it's who you are. And if you watch them, it's like, sales is service. Now buy my stuff. You know what I mean? And so you gotta be careful, because, people have a good way with words out there. But it's really, how are you being when you're with these people on the calls? And it sounds like that's exactly what you have, unknowingly or knowingly stumbled into. And that is really knowing how to actually serve them, not lip service, but true, like, how can I help you? Because I think also, we were talking about this before, like, people just want to be seen and heard. They really want it to feel validated. And a lot of people don't get that anymore. And just in general, not necessarily in the sales process, but like a lot of people, feelings, in life, feelings are minimized, they're misunderstood, they're wrong for feeling the way they feel. And especially if we're talking to entrepreneurs, and even more specifically solopreneurs, they definitely feel misunderstood. They probably, half their family thinks they're crazy or whatever. Like, I think it takes, we are a rare breed. And so for you to be able to be on a call with them and really meet them where they are, it's such a powerful thing. And just really quickly, because we talked a little bit about physics and the quantum, like, I believe when this is done right, and it's done from your heart and not from, your agenda and your ego, from your heart, you are actually calling people to a higher timeline. Like you are helping them navigate, because we all have that call. Like you're meant for more. You can do this. Stop, playing small. And when you can truly be that catalyst and help them, because they already want to make that decision. But what holds us all back? Fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you can navigate that sales call from your heart, like how well, I feel like that's where coaching begins. I tell my clients that all the time, because I can feel that they're nervous. But we're all nervous. Like you and I, we've made big decisions, big investments. And so they're just you just need a little help, like navigating that. And when you can be that for them, like I believe it's one of the most loving things you can do for someone, because they really do want it. They're feeling that call. I believe it's your soul calling you, but for them to actually step up and say yes, if you can help them feel good about that with your certainty, it's
Okay.
so powerful.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, because, when I had my spiritual awakening, that was really one of the first things that kind of hit me, was like, I want other people to live up to their, as if I was like living up to my potential. But it's like it's like, oh my God, we're meant for so much more.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel that. And I think that's really what sales is helping them say yes to so much more of who they are.
So good. Okay. I know you have a system, because we need to dive into the system of like, how can a regular person who feels like they are chat GPTing it, or they downloaded a lead magnet, free script line, trying to figure out navigating, how do I sell without feeling salesy and sleazy? Because I think that's like the example you shared earlier. It's the sleaziness. And so we think that's what sales is. We see the movies and it's like, that's what sales is. I don't want to have anything to do with it. So you're really just, I don't want to say reinventing, because it's already invented. I think it was just manipulated. So you're bringing it back to what its original form was, in my opinion. So what is that system? Like, how are you formulating this, and how are you helping people?
Well, I mean, there are layers to it, right? So, I'll talk just specifically about the sales call, but you can really, it's like anything in life, the better you can lay out that runway, the easier you make everything on the back end. So if you're reserving your quote unquote sales just for the sales call, you're really missing a lot of opportunity to, for lack of a better way of putting it, tee it up better, because you don't want to have to take someone from A to Z on a sales call. That's what content is for. Content, but let me be clear. Your messaging is not for selling your thing directly. It's for selling the idea behind your thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's helping them, so a big shift, like a writer downer for people here to really get this, is your content is about what do they need to believe in order to see what I have to offer is the right solution for them.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean it's for everyone, but for the right person. And so everybody's, creating this content with their tips. Tips isn't it. It's helping them understand more of their problem and what the real solution will look like for them. So messaging is a big, big piece of that. Now, this is another place where people get it backwards. Before we can even get to messaging, if all roads lead to your offer, that needs to be dialed in, right? So many people create the offer they want to teach and not the offer their ideal client wants to buy.
Yeah.
And so we have to really start there as the foundation, and then layer the messaging. Okay, well, if this is now my offer, like what would they need to believe in order to see this offer? And then you kind of work backwards.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of my clients come in and they're like, I'm creating content, I'm being consistent, and I'm adding value, but it's not like
tailored.
cohesive.
Yeah.
I want you to think, like you said, everything is sales. but
Mhm.
don't sell your offer directly. That's
Yeah.
salesy. Sell the
Yes.
new ideas, sell the new like perception, right? The new point of view,
Mhm.
sell the different beliefs, sell the new insights and the aha moments. Then by the time somebody gets to the call, they're already, I want my co-host and I, Sophie, she's like, you can have a buying conversation instead of a sales conversation. And I love that. Right.
That's
And
cool.
that's the better you get at that messaging. And I don't care where it is. It can be in content. It can be somewhere just like this. It can be on a stage. It can be at a networking event. But the better, I really like to call it effective communicating. And the better you get at that, and planting those seeds and shifting and helping them have those insights, they naturally are like, Melinda, can we talk? Like, this was awesome.
Mhm.
I want to know, I need more.
Yeah.
And so they come instead of feeling like I'm going to get sold to, they come
Yeah.
to the sales call thinking, I'm going to get answers.
Mm.
And it's
That's
just an
good.
entirely different way to look at
100%. I call them micro decisions, like from awareness content, like you're talking networking, business development, or even social media content, email, YouTube, podcasts. That's like awareness content, like, oh, there are solutions that exist. But then consideration content is what you're saying, like that follow up. Okay, so here are the alternatives. But here's why this is the best. And following up with that micro decision, oh, well, this is the best. Well, I want to learn more, and then taking the next step of another micro decision. So if we give bite sizes, in my experience, like when I give bite sizes, people feel relief because it's not
it.
something that they have to digest all at once. Like the sale goes faster because they've already consumed everything that they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get on the call, they're telling me what I said,
Yes.
or they're like reciting stuff to me, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I 100% agree. So, like, how do you do this? Like, you have this process that you have, like you offer, you share with people. What is that system called? And like walk us through, like, what are the steps to doing that?
So yeah. I believe that the best ideas are born out of necessity. And so, you heard sort of like the beginning, right, of how my sales process developed over, decades and 40,000 sales calls. But this is my six-figure blueprint. And this was born out of a whole brand new necessity that I had when I came online,
Mm,
called Jana Tried Everything in the Kitchen Sink, and just about felt like the biggest loser on the planet because
wow.
I was trying to do, it was like, I guess I need to go viral and I got to go on YouTube and I need to do reels and I need to become an editor. And what all the things that I was focused on that were actually not, I need the right freebie and I got to have all the email list and do summits. And it was just like so
Yeah.
much. And oh, I had a come to Jesus moment. It was actually with Sophie again. God, I love her. Where she said, whoa, like, what was it that made you successful all of those years? And I was like, it was quality conversations over quantity. I
Mm,
paid attention and really developed relationships with the few that I knew were the right fit. And I focused. And I was like, so I stopped doing, because what a lot of the stuff I was doing unknowingly is I'd buy shiny objects. Oh, that's the magic bullet. Oh, there it is. Oh, perfect. And I would just abort, 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 abort. And I'm sure hopefully some of you can relate. And what I realized is those are all low
frequency.
ticket, low
Yeah.
ticket processes.
Hmm.
And low ticket is really something we want to do a little bit later if we want to
Hmm.
be more profitable on the front end. And so the beauty of it is low ticket's great, but it's really great when you have a team because you really don't need to learn how to edit. and to learn how to write the best hooks in the whole wide world, or how to be the best copywriter on the plate. You don't need to learn all of those skills. And so when I really, I think of like Myron, when he would sit back in some of his talks and he's like, what do they actually need? And what do I, in that moment, it's like, what is it really? And it's exactly what we were talking about, right? It's like, you can have high ticket clients consistently with a freaking good offer that you've validated for conversion, understanding this nuanced process of problem awareness, solution awareness, and taking people through a sales process.
Yes.
They call it marketing. Good marketing has sales in it.
Marketing is data. Sales is messaging. Yeah.
Yep. And so learning how to bring them through that process, and then onto a solution call, onto a simple sales call. So I've just eliminated having to drive traffic to a masterclass. I've eliminated a landing page. I've eliminated having to do any freebies or have anything other than solid offer, understanding how to effectively communicate about it, and knowing how to sell. And that, I believe, and taking clients there is what gets you those high ticket clients consistently. And as you start getting more momentum there, then you can, you get to 6 figures with 10 or 20 clients. Then you can start hiring people to help you build out some of these other pieces. But gosh, do you know how many Kartra landing pages I built that no one ever went to? And so it's just cart before the horse, because you see some guru do it and you're like, that's how it's done. And it's like, not so fast. That's a scaling activity. We got to learn how to convert first. We got to learn what messaging converts, because if you can't convert them through conversations and messaging and copy, content, you're not going to convert them on a landing page.
Yeah.
You don't understand what's making them tick yet. And so to completely tie this one up with bow, what I teach is that 6-figure blueprint, which is really those 3 moves to high ticket clients consistently without all the overwhelm of the tech and the scaling stuff and the low ticket strategies. So hopefully that answered your question.
It did. It really did. And it just showed how organic it could be and plug and play. Like, it's not something where you're not like robotically taking someone through your framework and saying you have to do it this way in order for it to work. What you're sharing is a roadmap for people to apply it in any country, if you will. And it's like, you're going to get to your destination. You just follow the steps. You're just going to get there. And sometimes at first it'll be a little sloppy, but you're going to get there. And then you'll over time, you'll upgrade your vehicle and it'll be an easier journey. But at first, you're just driving a beater, but then you get to a point where, you get in a car and you're there in seconds flat.
Because you get it. You get what makes them tick now, because you've had enough of these conversations and sales calls where you now can feed that back, and it just makes that upward momentum just keep going and going. But if you're trying to build over here, a race car, and you don't have your driver's permit yet, like, what good is it? And that's what everybody's like, I just need more leads, Jana. I just need more leads. I'm like, what do you do with the ones you have? And if you can't convert them, that's where we start, because leads are not going to fix it. That's like, I will fix that race car all day long, but if you don't know how to drive it, it's not going to do you any good.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more of that, because remember I was sharing with you like this visual of me standing above this beautiful, the view of like a city, like glistening at night. And so it feels so rewarding knowing that it wasn't the offer. Okay, so I was praying the other day and Holy Spirit was like, your product can be on the shelf of Walmart or Bloomingdale's. It's going to sell either way. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, translation for everybody. is your offer might not be the problem. It might be your audience. Like making
Mm,
sure that you're speaking speaking
yeah.
to the right audience at the right time, right? Because you're talking about being problem aware so that you help them solve the problem that they have because they're aware that they have the problem, opposed to telling them that they have a problem before they even know they have a problem and then expecting and it doesn't work, right? So, so that was a huge epiphany. I want to talk more about that. And the other thing I want to talk about is I really feel like that's going to serve a lot of people who are creating offers in bubbles and
Mm,
not doing market research, like how to do the research to find out what words to use. Like, don't change the words. Like, if they call it a clicker, call it a clicker. Do not call it a
yes.
remote. If they say beige, don't say off white. Like, just the smallest things make the biggest difference. And so, just messaging, market research. And then what does that look like? Like, in terms of how you help people in their transformations, sharing one or two case studies, like of how people have implemented your system in their business and seen the transformational results.
Oh, I love these. Okay, so I'm going to start with an example of the messaging and how powerful it can be. So I almost said her name. So one of my clients, like she's a money coach, right? And she helps people get out of debt. Okay.
Ooh.
And so this is when we were in the midst of messaging in my program. And she messages me. She's like, Jana, it's the weirdest thing. She's like, I have she's just booking sales calls right and left. But she noticed that she had like these two back to back. One was like, I have this one lady who is just broke. Like she
Mm.
needs my help, but she can't even, like put a
Yeah.
dollar towards getting out of it, which is actually quite sad. And I
Yeah.
hate that. But she's like, help me with this one. And then she's like, and then the next sales call I had was this lady who is actually beyond me. Like she wanted help with investing. And I
Mm.
was like, go back and look at what brought them, what piece of content, like retrace their steps. And she's like, oh my gosh, I can see it. In this piece, I was seeing words like struggle, stuck. And
Wow.
then in this piece, I was speaking to the desire and the vision and the expansiveness. And it literally
Wow.
attracted people on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Wow.
And that's how powerful our words are. And to your point, I don't know what it is, but we have to learn how to speak to them at that fourth grade level,
Yeah.
even second grade level. And the
Yeah.
reason is because people are reading fast. Like this is really embarrassing, but I read the Twilight books.
Why is
I
that
was,
embarrassing?
but I mean, they're for like 12-year-olds.
So what?
Right?
I had my Goosebumps series for like years before they were so tattered when I gave them away. And
Yeah.
Babysitter's Club. I kept them until I
Yes.
was
Oh
my
my God.
20s. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So here I am pregnant with it was my first daughter, and I was reading these. But why
Yeah.
was I reading them? The words were big. It was simple. Like I would turn the page and it wasn't like overwhelming. Like we've had those books where like I want to read that, but I feel like I'm going to be about 150 before I
Yeah.
finish it. You know what I mean? Like you get those books
Yeah.
with the words like Atlas Shrug or like
Yeah.
something like you're like, oh my God, can they just make a movie about this?
Yeah.
Um, at least that's how my brain thinks. So
Oh,
anyway,
you're so
my
funny.
my point is like it's exhausting to our brain to have to decipher what all of that means. And it's kind of like just smut TV with the Twilight. It's like I can
Yeah.
just watch, like there's nothing, it just comes right in. Like
Yeah.
I don't have to like send it through any sort of. And so when we try to make it smarter or talk the way we talk, but you have a
Mm.
PhD in it.
Right.
And so you may not even think you're talking fancy. It's just how you talk. But you got to pull it down to like the tween reader, Twilight, who's like, I just want something easy to understand and I'm tired and I'm pregnant. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and so that's a big part of it. And it's actually, I'm making jokes about it, but it's really difficult. It's a skill. And that's another thing I should mention, Melinda. In a sea full of coaches who are like, it's overnight success. It's the easy button. Just tomorrow you'll wake up and you'll be a millionaire. Like all of these things, all of that's possible for everybody here. Do not get me wrong. I am all about living up to your fullest potential and your vision. However, there is growth and there is skill set development.
100%.
And so,
yeah.
That messaging is a skill that I love to get with people on and really help them develop, because I believe it will make you better in all areas of your life. It's made me a better mom. It's made me a better wife. It's made me a better coach, and it's made me a better marketer. And it's because I can understand how to put myself in their shoes and speak to them at that level. And if you speak over them, you may as well be speaking a different language. And so that's the power of messaging. And I know you were asking about that. And I'll answer another question we get quite often is like, how do I speak to the premium buyers? Like, how do I bring more of those people in? Because I believe, I know you're saying you have to find, and I used to think this too, and right or wrong, like take what resonates, leave the rest. I believe premium buyers are created, not found. They're created through your ability to help them see what's really going on and to help bring them through this sort of evolution of their own consciousness and realization as to what's really going on. And when they can understand that, and then they see the value, that's why when you hear things like, I can't afford it, we'll talk about that in a second, you may be saying things that are bringing that person in that really does need help, but may just can't quite connect. We'll talk about that in a second. But, it really is about helping them tease it out and seeing the value in it. And so anybody can become that. I've had people in my audience that said no to my 2K offer 4 years ago that now will easily say, yes to my 15K.
Yeah.
And it's because now they see, I've helped them understand, like, what's actually costing you $100,000 a year is the fact that you don't know how to make $100,000 a year. Helping them understand what's going on. So that's one thing. And then the other piece, and I think that this may sometimes be our own subconscious stuff around money, our own subconscious stuff around self-worth. But I remember having this affinity for like the struggle. I'm going to be the Superman person, the savior of the people who are really on the struggle bus. And I know that resonates with some people because they're like, I do feel that. But the thing is, they're not ready for the help. And so we can't keep speaking to the person who is full blown in victim mode, because let me tell you, ask me how I know, that client is a lot harder to work with, and it's going to be even more difficult to get them the results they want. And so when you speak to them stuck, like broke, challenged, can't get ahead, like that's victim languaging. So what are you going to bring in? Right? And so instead, it's like, you're done with that. You're ready. There's more. You can feel it. Like, you're already doing the thing. Like, they're already in motion. They're already above, like, they're in that, like.
So you're empowering them to make a decision.
Or I'm already speaking to them. Have they've empowered themselves even?
Yeah.
They're already done with poor me. They've moved into phase 2, which is like, I am responsible, 100% responsibility. And so when you can speak to that, and all these types are in any audience. I don't care if it's 100 people or 100 million, they're all there, and we just have to learn how to speak to them. So that was probably like the longest answer I've ever given.
No, it's really good. I believe it talks to the masses. I would say, and 90% of the time I've seen that where, there are more objections that you have to overcome the lower they see themselves, like victimization from like, but if they're they see the problem and they have some inclination of what the pain is and how painful it is, then you're not like you don't have to overcome as many objections. So, and that has a lot to do with your messaging, like you're
Yeah.
talking about, like what you put out in the marketplace to empower them, to excite them, and to help them make micro decisions. And then there's like the 10% where, just recently in the last year or two, I would say the last 2 years, where I really learned about objections. But I
Mhm.
was selling before that because the buyers that I was selling to, they had already figured out their objections, and they were just like, "Can someone just take the money and figure it out so I don't have to? I don't want to just like the pain is so big." So I think that there's like 99% of the time, I think that's true, like for most of the world. And
Mhm.
then there's like that 1% where Dan Kennedy talks about in his book, um, marketing to the affluent, where there's less objections. There's more just telling them what they're going to miss out on because that's what they care about. Status increase, which is what they care about. So 100%. Like I think that's at the end of the day, you got to know your audience. And if you know your audience, you can transform them.
You can. Absolutely. And for some, that can be within just one post,
Yeah. Yeah.
one. And for others, it's a journey. But this notion that we have to nurture them forever and a day, I don't buy that. I just
People are
don't.
ready. They know they're ready. And then if they're not ready yet, it's like planting a seed. So share a case study of like somebody where they installed this system and they
Yes.
got like these results. Like a what was that like for them? And then like how did it feel as a coach? Because I don't think
So
people talk about that enough. But
it,
it's a real feeling.
it really is. It really is. So there's a couple different ways. I'll talk about like the quickest fix first. And I know my camera's doing what yours was doing. Okay. It's just going to be what it's going to be. Sorry, everybody. So some people come to me, and these are usually more my one-on-one clients, and they can't close on a sales call, right?
Mm.
They've lost their mojo. Maybe they could, maybe they increase their price. Like they're just having trouble, right? And that's usually like a call or two, and it
Mm.
changes everything for them, right? And so it's really just helping them show up in that new energy, helping them guide them through that process. Like some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, having them present their offer. I find that people overload. They think, let me just throw more, and wait, there's more and more and more. And they actually oversell. And
Mm.
that really causes a lot of problems. Um, and then another thing that actually I'm glad that we're having this, because I just thought about this today. I got an email from somebody talking about this, and I was like, gosh, they were talking about one of my YouTube videos, and they're like, this was so helpful. But I was like, I forgot that people do this. And that is like they pounce. Like you hear an objection, and they're like, well, but here's the thing, like, here's how we can help you with that. And it's like, whoa,
Oh.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, call off your dogs, let it land. Like, let's really figure out what this really is, because it's usually
Mm.
just a smoke screen at the top. Like, we have to like dig it, but people are just ready to like, and it was a guy, and I was like, how like women, like sometimes we just want to be heard. Like, we don't want you to just fix, come
Yeah.
in and fix.
Oh
And
my
so a
gosh.
lot of
Yes.
people try to handle objections like that. And so I can take somebody who is having sales calls consistently that's not converting to
Mhm.
easily like a 50, even a 75% close rate, just
Nice.
with that kind of stuff, and tailored to them, right? Because I have to
Wow.
see kind of what they're doing, because it's really, I know you've heard Eileen say this, and it's so true. Like, it's those small tweaks at that point to big peaks, right?
Mm.
And so now I'm like, well, what do we want to do now? You want to learn one-to-many sales? Like, where are we going to go? Um, so that's one type of client. The other is somebody who, I'm looking at their offer. I see that there's things that need to be fixed there. And so let me think. I mean, I've had so many people right now inside my program that are just doing so well. I'll just talk about the one I got an email from today. And just a month ago, Melinda, like, she was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just lost, and da da da.
Oh.
And something we haven't mentioned is, once I get there, their offers validated. And what I mean by that is we want to make sure that it's positioned in the market. Like if everybody out there is selling red shoes and red shoes are selling really well, like if you're going to come up and sell more red shoes, it's probably going to be like, why would they buy your red shoes? And so we have to figure out like, where do you fit in and what is your edge or your position in this so that you can make a case for your thing, right? It's really hard to go, well, just buy my red shoes because I said so. Like, so it's like, let me talk to you about blue shoes and why red shoes are actually doing this to you and you don't even know it. And let's talk about some blue shoes and what you can get from, this instead. And so helping them like set themselves up for success there. Right. And so we want to do that. And then of course it's like that messaging around it, being effective with it. Like, don't just come and say, buy blue shoes. It's like making that case and understanding it. And so this lady actually is into like the promotion and corporate space, like getting a promotion, not like a PR.
Oh yeah.
Like getting promoted and confidence and those things. And, she was just having trouble, like getting noticed, getting just all the things that you hear, right? Like not getting on enough sales calls. I don't know what's happening. And so we got these pieces in order and we started working through her messaging and understanding it a little better. I actually have another one I want to tell you too that I think will be interesting. And just today, the other thing I wanted to say, and the thing that people miss the most, listen up, is the income producing activities. They think, I'm going to show up and I'm going to produce content and people are going to magically buy. And so I have them from day one inside my program. I'm like, we're going to be
we all do it. Yeah. We've all done it. That's why we know. That's why we're laughing.
So we're going to help you like put your best foot forward, but you got to pull this through. Like it's bootstrapping to your first 100K or more. And, people are like, well, what does that mean? It means having conversations, not cold DMs, but you already have a network. You probably, chances are you've been on some sales calls and you really have to start, finding those networking groups, extending your network, getting in there, meeting people, getting clearer about how it's landing and like doing these other pieces. Because so now she went from just posting and praying to, I just got something from, she's like, I've got a sales call scheduled today. I just re-signed a client that worked with me years ago that saw a post that I did. I had 2 other people randomly reaching out in the DMs. I have no idea where they came from. And I believe that it's from doing all of it. Like, I think the more you move energy, the more connections you make over here, the more space you create for people to come in over here. Can't quite put my finger on it, but energetically, there's something to that. And if we just sit back and we post and pray, that's not it. But if you're in there, you're getting uncomfortable, you're expanding your network and having these conversations and doing these things, it's affecting all the other pieces. And so now she just signed a new client. She's got 2 sales calls booked, a 50K offer proposal out there. Nice. And I'm forgetting. And I think, and one of the people that signed up for her retreat now wants to talk to her about becoming like a one-on-one VIP client. And this is from somebody who just a month ago was like, I feel lost. I don't know. And it's just, for me, it's helping them develop these skill sets. And then it's the moving of the energy of the income producing activities. Yeah. And those 2 things together is what starts to, and she's like, I can feel it. The momentum's there. I see. She's like, it's happening. And I'm like, exactly. And so it can't just be the passive process is what I'm trying to say. Refining the offer and the messaging. Like we have to also be making those connections and putting ourselves, we can't hide behind our content. And that is like the recipe in my mind for success.
100%, 100 gazillion percent. I agree. I make more sales when I meet people in person than posting. And I didn't understand it. I was like, why is this? Like every time I met somebody and then they just kind of come to one of my master classes or email me like, hey, I want to learn more about what you do. And I wasn't trying to sell them, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of happened. Like,
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think that's like, I think I shared with our group is, when I was at Funnel Hacking Live earlier this year, I was just having fun. It was just like not a thing. I had fun. I wasn't selling. I wasn't doing any of the business stuff. I was just there to consume.
Yeah.
And we broke for a session, and a gentleman behind me, I say gentleman like I'm like a 90-year-old, but like the gentleman behind me, he's like, hey, what do you do? Like, I just have a feeling that I need to ask you what you do. Like, who are you, kind of thing. And I told him what I did. I was like, I'm going to make contracts. This is what I do. This is what I specialize. And he was like, oh, that's really cool. Well, we could exchange information, and he was with his bro, like his friend. And his friend was just kind of like leaning back, kind of just acting as if he wasn't involved in the conversation. And so I was just like, okay, bye, see you, And he came up to me and was like, hey, would you be interested in talking to one of my partners? I'm like, sure. So long story short, fast forward 2 weeks, I sent a $125,000 proposal to them. And it wouldn't have happened, right? Like, where do you get a $125,000 client, right?
Right. Right.
That's where at an event we are not selling in t-shirts and jeans and with a backpack and just laughing and just relaxing because I was authentically myself.
Yeah.
And that's what was attractive, not the salesy stuff. It's just
Yeah.
showing up and being of service and value.
Yes.
So cool.
And having all of those other pieces, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, you know how to put the offer, like you knew what to do. It's like success is where preparation meets the opportunity. But I think the opportunity always presents itself in unexpected ways.
Yeah.
And so it's that, I like the woo and the do. I mean, it's just, to me, we can prepare all we want. And if we're not taking the action and doing the thing and meeting, it's not going to work. Or if we're the ones that are just taking the action, but yet it kind of all like feels like a house of cards when it comes time to like do the deal, And so we got to show up doing both. But if you really think about what we're saying, it's far simpler than so much of what's being taught.
Oh my gosh.
Like, so you got to be everywhere, omnipresent. Like that's not it. And so that's what I love to teach, because I think it really helps people. That's why I think they're successful, is because I'm like, I give you permission to stop doing 1,000 things and to focus on really these 3 things inside the offer. And then the income producing activities is the 4th.
Yeah.
You do those, there's no chance that you won't get clients.
Yeah.
As long as you're coachable.
As long as you're coachable. That's a huge thing.
Like,
so huge.
Remember the hook. Remember the hook. And then it's like, my day today was, and I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not the hook. Go back and research hooks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's skill set development. And, sometimes we do have to be told stuff 100 different ways until it like clicks. That's why I like to keep it simple, because I believe the biggest struggle people are having is it's like they're trying to learn to play baseball, basketball, tennis, golf, like all of it all at the same time. And it's like, hold up, come home. And because when you feel insecure.
Yeah.
Because you're in so much.
You're
just scattered energy gets scattered results,
Yeah. 100. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I mean, just you're talking about energy. It's just like spreading your energy so thin that it can't really be compounded, right? And so like the whole point of energy is to compound. Like that's how we increase our energy, even in a form of currency, right? Money loves multiplication. That's its love language. So yeah. Okay. Awesome. Anything else that you want to share with our audience? And I want to make sure that they understand that there's an opportunity that's coming up to learn the system, to actually get into an activation, a buyer activation boot camp so that you're attracting premium clients, but you're selling to premium clients and you become the premium person. So let's talk more about what Get Clients Now is and how people can take advantage of that.
Yes. And so I don't know, I won't say dates or anything, but very soon. And if you click the link and everything, you'll have all the details. But bottom line, every one of these principles we talked about, we're going to walk people through that in the Get Clients Now Bootcamp. And so, any piece of this, if I find some people come for certain pieces more than others, but when they come for the full 4 days, they realize they needed other pieces as well. And so it's everything from like, that energy of like going pro and really stepping into like, no, like I am a high ticket coach, consultant, stepping in and saying yes fully to your zone of genius. And then we talk all about like how to create those offers that people want and are willing to invest in. And then so on through the messaging piece of it. And it just kind of builds all the way through, even handling objections in this more authentic service-based way, because again, it's not about like explaining away their fears. It's about really holding space and understanding them. And so over the course of those 4 days together, we're going to be going through each step of the 6-figure blueprint. And then also, I want to add anybody that does VIP, which I brought you a gift to give your audience so that they could get a discount on the tickets, because VIP will get an extra hour with me each day. Really, it's open. Like, yes, we'll teach you guys like probably one of the biggest lessons for that specific topic. But beyond that, it's like, this time is yours. Like, what do you need? Like, where are you feeling unclear? Where do you need feedback or whatever it may be? And so we'll be doing that. And so definitely check out her description and the caption, because we're going to have a code for you guys. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
100%. Oh my gosh, it's such a big gift. Wow. Like, that's a really big gift. I mean, can you imagine? Like, okay. Yeah, I'm totally going to share this opportunity with people. Like,
thank you.
Really, truly, because imagine just like a small fraction of the people that we see online who are just kind of like behind this veil. They're making it look like they're making it work, but they're really not making it work. And they just plug in this system. Oh my gosh, like they'll just blow up. I mean, so exciting. So for all of you, there is a link in the description, and you just want to simply click the link, upgrade to VIP to get that experience, an additional hour a day, which is basically like a coaching session every day, plus the training. I mean, that's insane. So take advantage of this opportunity. This is something that you deserve because you have a voice, and you want to make sure that you magnify that voice and attract the people that you're called to serve. And truly, they're already there. They're just looking for someone to speak their language and help them where they're at. Thank you so much, Jana, for being here. This is amazing.
Thank you, Melinda. And thank you to everybody who listened. And I hope to see you shortly in our bootcamp.
Awesome. Bye, guys. See you the next Legacy Builders podcast. We've got a lot coming up, and this is one of the value adds that we get to share with our community. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and comment below. Let us know what you loved. Make sure to check out Jana and come to our bootcamp. But also just make sure that you're sharing this with other people that you know could be the light that we could be looking up to. All right, guys. See you in the next one.